Hello and welcome. I am a hotel AI expert with extensive experience in modern hospitality operations and performance support. I am pleased to welcome all students of Europe Hotel School to your online learning journey. Today, we're going to dive deep into a truly transformational role, the Key Account Manager. We look forward to supporting your professional growth in the hospitality industry. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to unpack the 5 critical dimensions of the Key Account Manager, or KAM. We'll start with their strategic function, then move into how they build client relationships and bridge internal operations, and we'll finish up with the visionary leadership that really defines the best in this field. All right, let's jump right into our first section. To really get a handle on what a key account manager does, you first have to understand why this role is so much more than just sales. So what is a CAM exactly? Well, think of them as the guardian of a hotel's most valuable client partnerships. They're not just managing a list of accounts. They are strategically nurturing these key relationships that are absolutely essential for long-term revenue, for reputation, and for overall growth. And this is a really crucial distinction to make. A traditional sales role, that's often transactional. It's all about short-term goals, about closing the next deal. The key account manager, though, they're playing a completely different game. Their focus is relational. It's all about building long-term partnerships that create real, sustainable value for both sides, the client and the hotel. And why does this matter so much? Because these key accounts are, quite literally, the bedrock of a hotel's success. They often represent the most significant chunk of revenue. But it's more than just money. They build up the brand's reputation, they provide stability in what can be a very competitive market, and they give you priceless insights into where the market is heading next. Okay, so let's move on. Now we're going to see how a CAM actually builds the external-facing side of these vital relationships. You can really think of them as an architect of partnerships. At the very heart of every single successful client partnership, there is one critical element: trust. It's that simple. Without it, a long-term alliance is just impossible. Everything a KAM does, every promise they make, every problem they solve, it's all aimed at building and strengthening that foundation of trust. But here's the thing, trust isn't just some abstract idea. It's built, piece by piece, through really deliberate and consistent actions. First, you have to deeply understand what your client actually needs. Second, you have to make sure service delivery is flawless every single time. Third, communication has to be completely transparent. And finally, you don't just react to problems, you solve them before they even become big issues. That's how you show you're reliable. Now, to pull all of that off, a CAM needs to master these core skills. Active listening isn't just hearing, it's about uncovering the needs a client might not even say out loud. Emotional intelligence is absolutely key for navigating those tense situations. And when you combine clear expectation management with unwavering professionalism, you make sure every conversation is productive and strategic. So we've covered the external client-facing role. Let's flip the coin and look at the internal function, which is just as important. A KAM has to be a bridge to the hotel's own operations. And this table here really shows that unique position perfectly. On the outside, they're the voice of the hotel, the client's main point of contact. But on the inside, they're the client's advocate. They're briefing the teams, coordinating with different departments, and constantly balancing what the client wants with what the hotel can realistically deliver. It's a real balancing act. And that is why this internal role is so incredibly vital. It's what closes that gap between a promise and the actual reality. The CAM is the guardian of consistency, making absolutely sure that the commitments made in a negotiation translate perfectly into a seamless, flawless experience for the guest. A good KM manages the present, but a great KM, they proactively shape the future of the partnership. So let's explore this visionary side of the role. This timeline really shows that journey from just reacting to things to proactively leading. It all starts with analysis, digging into the data, understanding client patterns. From there, the KAM can propose new ideas that meet needs the client might not even know they have yet. This leads to regular performance reviews, and it all feeds back into a cycle of continuous improvement. It keeps the partnership moving forward. And those performance reviews are such a key tool. They're about so much more than just looking at past revenue. A great review always balances 3 things. You look back at the hard data, you check in on current client satisfaction, and, most importantly, you look forward, collaborating on what's next and identifying new opportunities together. To be that kind of visionary, a KM has to blend together these high-level competencies. You need strategic thinking to see the big picture, commercial insight to spot new opportunities, operational awareness to know what's actually possible, and the resilience to adapt and guide that partnership through whatever the market throws at you. Okay, so for our final section, let's bring all these pillars together. Let's see how the key account manager truly embodies the very essence of hospitality leadership. This is really the peak of the role. When you strip everything else away, what's the number one objective? It's this: to elevate that partnership beyond a simple client-vendor relationship. The ultimate goal is to build a true strategic alliance, where both organizations feel like they're invested partners, working together to create value and drive each other's success. And at the end of the day, it's that human dimension that really makes this role special. A great KAM embodies the timeless values of our industry: real warmth, genuine attentiveness, and absolute professionalism. They make sure that every single interaction reflects the highest standards of hospitality. So, we'll end with a question for you to take with you into your careers. As you move forward, don't just think about how you can manage an account. Instead, ask yourself, how will you make that evolution from just a manager into a true strategic partner?